Also irgendwann finde ich die Steuerung noch raus. Mann. Oh, guck mal.
Balls of Mars. Fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful.
Also ich versuche jetzt seit echt viel zu lernen auf einmal. Ist nur eine Frage, ob Blitze produktiv ist, wie es sein soll. Blutprobe. Mal ganz davon abgesehen, aber das ist halb so wild. Nee, warte mal, von Book. You gotta tell us. Mit TF? Okay, das war nicht so ein einfacher Circ.
These skals feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood.
Was mich halt echt persönlich wundert, ist halt wirklich, wo kommen die ganzen Vampire her? Das ist ja mehr wie ein Vampir. Okay, lassen wir den mal noch klopfen. Oh. Sau. Okay, ich will mich eigentlich in aller Ruhe erstmal umgucken. So viel kämpfen, also ich meine, ich erhole mich ja relativ schnell. Wie ich mich die ganze Zeit erhole, I don't know. Aber ich tue es, finde ich einerseits ganz okay. Ich würde es jetzt noch schöner finden, wenn ich wüsste, wie ich das tue. Na, ist okay. Ah. Da wollte jemand etwas untersuchen. Örtliche Untersuchungen. Eine neuere Bürgeruntersuchung ist jetzt verfügbar. Aha. Bürger der Pathologie im Branbrook Hospital. Untersuchungsbericht, verstorbener Samuel Connor. Rasse kaukasisch, Geschlecht männlich, Alter 39, Wohnanschrift unbekannt, Beruf Fischer, Todesart natürlich. Wahrscheinliche Todesursache schnell fortschreitende Pneumonie aufgrund identifizierter eigentlich Lungenverdichtung, spanische Grippe, Gutachter Dr. Schwester, bla bla bla. Name und Unterschrift des medizinischen Gutachtens.
Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. I'd better look into this.
Blut aufnehmen, das ist eine neue Art Nebenwaffe erhalten. Aha.
It's locked, all right.
Jetzt lackt er. Warte mal. Eigenhändig. Wie benutze ich die denn? Ich finde schön, dass es so viele Waffen hat. Naja.
Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. The chest was originally opened to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked.
Sieh mal eine an. Ja, so kommt alles raus. Schwierig zu sagen, von wo man kommt, von wo man geht, ey. Okay. Sind jetzt meine Leichen alle angekommen. Wuhu! John Doe. Wow! Stimmt, mit euch nicht. Oh. Das ist echt schon mies. Boah. Oha. Orange. Alter, neu war das jetzt gerade grenzwertig.
I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting.
Ganz ruhig. Immer mit der Ruhe. Es war aber echt knapp, muss man sagen, ja.
Sodium hypochlorite. Dangerous to administer, but efficient in the proper dosage.
Also ich habe mich jetzt da hoch geswitcht. Was ist denn das? Sera. So. Oh. Und jetzt ist halt so die Frage, wie benutze ich das Sera? Okay, so. Schattmann-Sera hergestellt. Aber noch mehr herstellen kann ich nicht, ne? Ne. Darauf fehlt mir dann doch das nötige Kleingeld. Also damit muss ich mich echt noch, wie sagt man, zurechtfinden. Gib mir mal ein bisschen von deinem Blut. Was stimmt denn nicht? Ich will nur ein bisschen von deinem Blut. Besonders toll ist es aber nicht, ne? Ich will doch eigentlich nur in Frieden. Wo kommen die alle her? Boshafter Skal. Oh, es sind sogar 2. Oh. Ich bin tot. Okay. Du wurdest besiegt. Ja, ich weiß das. Nee, das wollen wir aber nicht. Ha? Ich meine, wir erholen uns ja trotz allem hier immer noch, wie sagt man? Also ich will aber hoch eigentlich. Auf der Nuck liegt da was. Ich finde es halt echt grenzwertig, dass die Ausdauer so schnell von dannen geht. Aber hatte ich den Raum denn eigentlich schon abgesucht? Oh. Naja. Naja. Oh, wir müssen an die Aufnahme dran denken. Wir müssen die Aufnahme werden. Lasst doch ein bisschen lieber da ein Like, ein Abo oder Kommentar. Würde ich mich sehr darüber freuen. Bis zum nächsten Mal bei Vampyr. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu Vampyr. Wir machen weiter. Wir genießen das gute, arme Brambrook Hospital. Wortwörtlich sehr arm für die Verhältnisse. Aber ich suche dennoch auch immer noch das Ehepaar. Was ist die Frage? Erwischen wir das jetzt quasi? Was heißt, erwischen wir das? 72, 79, 77. War dann gerade am Kopf? Hä? Okay. Hier sind aber auch sehr, 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 sehr viele Skals unterwegs. Warum verschwindet der Kopf die ganze Zeit? Das stört mich so, ne?
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My
Oh.
name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr.
Pippa.
Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
Hinweis.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual. Especially concerning doctors.
Okay.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Mhm.
How long have you been a nurse?
Or long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
Sie wären
You'd
überrascht.
be surprised what dedication can achieve, Nurse Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
Ja, ja. Aber warum kann ich
How
jeder
would you
was
describe
anklicken?
this situation?
It's serious.
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Mhm. Ich verstehe dich. Aber der bräuchte noch Hinweis, okay.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Goodbye! Ist die eigentlich gesund oder ist die krank? Die ist gesund. Aber ich suche eigentlich den Dude from the Personnel. Da sind die ganzen Menschen. Sand.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling.
Also so schlimm siehst du doch nicht aus.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir.
Das ist mies. Okay.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood. Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Nee, also da kann man auf jeden Fall scheinbar noch 2 Punkte freischalten, eventuell. Warte. 500 gesund. Haben wir es denn?
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Ach, es ist er.
Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
Hawcroft?
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
Aha, so nennt man das. Na dann.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the dockers' trade union. The wet boot boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
Let go.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in
Mein
this contagious
Gehirn dröhnt
nightmare.
gerade so ein bisschen.
No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
Na gut. Auch noch.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks.
Notenhang.
And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Schade, hätte ja sein können.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really. But I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
Wie fühlen
How do
Sie
you
sich?
feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest.
Ach, der hat schon an dem genuckelt gehabt.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
So many deaths.
It's locked, all right.
Daily routine.
Pepper.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital.
Jonathan.
And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
Aha. Untersuchung gesund.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
Okay.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
Okay, der Alten geht's wahrscheinlich zu gut. Ja, die Medikamente wirken. Na, immerhin wirken sie
I'm
wenigstens bei
assuming you
einem.
must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Ihre Feinde? Oh.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
Wer kümmert...
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Aha.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, it's such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Also da können wir noch was durch Hinweise
I'll leave you,
freischalten.
Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
I wish I could be sick again. Feel my blood boil with fever.
Mhm.
Damn.
So many deaths.
Achso.
Here again.
Jetzt haben wir das schon angekündigt. Aber hier liegen noch ein paar Gestalten. Nicht hier ein paar Gestalten. Ich glaube, die ist tot, die Alte. Die hat keinen Puls, keinen Herzschlag mehr, die ist tot.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the
The
ambulance driver from
Milton!
the shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
So, ihr Lieben.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Meistens. Also so ein paar Tote lasse ich draußen
Since you're
liegen.
on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster.
Keine
It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital. That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Ist ja gut, also ich bin ja gut gewappnet.
How is the situation around here?
Das wollte ich gar nicht. Ich wollte
Are
hier
you
Waffen
really
springen.
smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Okay. Hinweis. Okay.
I have some good news, Milton.
What? It's
Milton!
over?
I retrieved your wallet with all the money and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin color that bothers you?
Not at all.
Von einem freien.
Please, take this money anyway, to remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
Ihre Beziehung zu Schwester Pippa.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up.
Könnte ich an ihrer Stelle auch nicht
She's
mehr.
as depressed as I am.
During the war, I witnessed a few couples just like you come together in difficult circumstances. It can be very damaging.
Maybe you're right. But we support each other. And that's all that matters.
Voll süß.
You do realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate relationships with one another.
Boah, ich weiß gar nicht, in welchem Jahr.
Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
Okay. Oder war da noch was? Nee, ne? Handel.
I'd like to see your good.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Miltons Schrot. Miltons Schrothunde. Kaufen. Warum kann ich das nicht kaufen? Kaufen, teilen. Okay, ich kann wahrscheinlich... Oh fuck, ich jetzt vielleicht sparen sollen, ne? Oh. Dem geht's, glaube ich, nicht so blendend, aber er lebt noch. Irgendwie. Du krankes Schwein.
So it is true. The famous Dr. Reed has joined us.
Ja.
I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before at the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr. Tippett, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor...
Und müssen Part beenden, das noch ein bisschen Liebe da, liken, Abo oder Kommentar. Bis zum nächsten Mal bei Vampyr. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu Vampyr. Wir machen weiter. Corona-Behandlungsfehler kostete Mr. Connor sein Leben. Wir haben gerade mit Dr. Tippett, glaube ich, geredet, irgendwie sowas.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
What is the Pembroke Hospital situation? And please, speak freely.
This hospital is not exactly the best of London. I'm sure you are used to working in a better environment.
It's more than enough. In any case, the personnel of a hospital are much more important to me than the building.
Don't be misled by appearances, Dr. Reed. This hospital does not lack talented people. It just lacks hope.
Sagt der einen Behandlungsfehler begangen hat, okay.
Staff in the hospital.
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with.
Am Ende hat er den belästigt oder so.
Woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree with Dr. Swansea's reserve, but I must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office now and again.
Würdest du das? Zurück. Persönliche Fragen. Über ihren Behandlungsfehler.
Corin, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
Was für ein Fehler.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong.
Doppelter Fehler sogar.
The dosage was too strong.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks. Maybe a fisherman.
Das ist
I
mies.
had no
Doppelt
time to
gemobbelt.
talk with him. No one claimed a body.
Goodbye,
Naja.
Dr. Tippett.
Na dann wollen wir mal so nett sein. Das ist irgendjemand Unbekanntes. Aber die ist scheinbar drin. Das sind noch ganz viele Unbekannte. Okay. Weil es so schön ist, so toll ist. Die kann ich aber nicht ansprechen. Pippa. Ich will aber nicht Pippa sprechen.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Persönliche Fragen. Hier ist nichts.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes? Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins. But are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke. But we do our best to get by. That's all any of us can hope for nowadays.
Okay, also. Okay.
Goodbye,
Ja, gut.
Nurse Hawkins.
Dann lassen wir die zwei doch mal gesund. Nee, nicht gesund. Nicht. Aber wofür? Ja, hier. Ach Gott, das sind ja noch so viele. Noch so viele. Oh Gott, oh Gott, oh Gott.
Yes, Doctor?
Ah, guck mal, da, free.
Why then do you always work the nights? Don't you ever sleep?
At the Pembroke, we're always hands on deck.
Okay, nicht so aggressiv.
Lack of sleep and the medical profession always ends in disaster. I've witnessed many a colleague succumb to stimulants to fight exhaustion. Drugs were as deadly as bullets in the trenches.
London's trenches start here at Pembroke Hospital. We are on the front line, make no mistake.
Okay.
Your dedication to the Pembroke does you credit, Nurse Crane, but when do you sleep?
We staff get our sleep when we can, Doctor. Nursing is a vocation, not the labor of a journeyman.
That's all for now, Nurse Crane.
Kann man so oder so sehen.
My sweet girl.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed, yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly.
Rivalry.
Welcome
Kenn ich gar
aboard,
nicht.
I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice.
Boah.
The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Aha. Eifersüchteleien werden ihnen nichts nützen.
Aren't you too old for such jealousy? It really won't do you any good, you know.
Don't be ridiculous, Dr. Reed. A simple glance is enough for me to know you have nothing for me to envy.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become...
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor.
Alter, der geht mir jetzt schon am
Even if
Sack.
I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego.
Nee.
Thank you.
Wiedersehen. Auf die habe ich ja gar keinen Bock. Das ist Dr. Doffrey. Ach Gott.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm hardly fit. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Verstehe ich?
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie
Das
to you
ist normal in einer
I'm
Pandemie.
afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Okay. Okay.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
Fiddick.
How could you be sure we're making a difference?
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your
Magst du mich auch nicht, oder haben wir uns nur best friends?
Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Okay, dann werden wir erstmal noch...
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr.
Ja, ich wollte etwas über dich
I
wissen.
run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
What do you think of Dr. Aykroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, You should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
Er hat schon ein hübsches
Dr. Aykroyd
Gesicht.
had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use. So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride? Dr. Aykroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept
Der
of
Dude hat ein
medical
hübsches
science.
Gesicht. Also.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke? Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
Okay. Ich helfe dir gleich.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times. I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science. Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
Ich würde sagen, du bist der Pandemie gewachsen.
Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now. Well, it is... Do you need help with anything? Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished. Do you want me to play the errand boy for you? Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need. I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time. Goodbye, Dr. Strick.
Okay. Warte mal, das ist Dr. Ding. Aber wo finde ich den da?
Thelma Howcroft said she was being watched by vampire hunters. Where are they hiding? I should investigate.
About this unfair situation.
Ja, Stadt braucht sie. Jedes Leben, das sie durch effiziente medizinische Hilfe gerettet wird, ist ein Stich ins Herz der Epidemie. Freiwillige machen den Unterschied. Melden Sie sich beim nächsten Registrierungsbüro des Ministeriums für Arbeit und Wehrdienst. Schreiben Sie an 15 King Way, London.
I managed to arrange to have you buried in the same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help.
Aber wie komme ich da hin? Das ist halt...
Good evening, Nurse Hawk.
Good evening.
Ah, das ist die Pippa.
Nurse Hawk.
Wir müssen... Hä? Warte mal. Wo war denn die alte... Hä? Das ist manchmal irritiert mich das Spiel echt ganz schön grob.
I cannot enter.
Ja, du kriegst gleich deine Medizin. Aber ich komme da nicht hin. Also rein theoretisch müsste ich irgendwie...
It's locked. It's locked.
Ja, it's locked. Irgendwie schwierig. Krankenhaus ist voll. Wegen der Grippe nimmt dieses Krankenhaus keine weiteren Patienten auf. Das Krankenhaus ist voll. Bitte kehren Sie wieder heim. Oh, das ist schon assi. Krankenhaus sagt nee. Okay, dann gehen wir jetzt einmal hoch. Mit dem Dr. Swansea. Kann man bestimmt noch nicht reden. Deswegen gehen wir... Oh, mein Platz, mein Schädel gefühlt. Einmal in unser Gemach. Stellen was her. Vielleicht ist... Was ist denn das? Behandlung gegen Erschöpfung? Was steht da? Ah, okay. Sagen was? So, defensiv. Aber warte mal. Sprung. Taktisch. Ach, das ist besser will. Okay, die folgende Nacht. Okay, dann wollen wir noch mal hier das Ach, ich vergesse den Namen immer. Dorothy heißt sie, glaube ich, bringen. Ja, Dorothy heißt sie. Steht auch daneben, aber egal. Dorothy! Das ist Pippa. Das ist Helen. Thomas. Unbekannt. Pippins. Unbekannt. Wo ist denn Dorothy? Dorothy. Da hinten ist sie irgendwie. Dorothy! Wo bist du denn? Bist du hier? Da ist sie.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse.
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself with the same basic ingredients.
Many thanks, Doctor. When you've finished, you ought to report to Dr. Swansea in his office. He's been looking for you. Seemed pressing.
Krankheiten verringern die Blutqualität eines Bürgers, verwende die richtigen Medikamente, um ihn zu heilen. Sprich mit dem Patienten im Zimmer hinter Dorothy, um seinen Gesundheitszustand zu kontrollieren.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No.
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Halte er ernst den Gesundheitszustand des...
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Erholt sich, okay. Ach, guck mal, hier
Good
sitzt
evening,
er.
madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick.
Ja,
Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
Erzählen Sie mir von sich. Fühlen Sie sich hier...
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Goswick. Oh, wir müssen Part beenden. Lasst ein bisschen Liebe da, ein Liken, Abo oder Kommentar. Bis zum nächsten Mal bei Vampyr.